morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Andrew Christenson. It's the 17th of November 2014. It's 7:30 a.m. here in Miramar Beach, Florida. This is video 756. The title has to do with what happened to Mario Zurvagon and his family. So, the DOJ firebombs, attempted assassination of Mario Zurvagon and family. FBI was destroying evidence. The video that I'm going to do right now is why the DOJ and FBI wanted Mario Zurvagon and his family dead with their home and possessions destroyed. The DOJ and FBI could not take a chance on Mario Zurvagon being in possession of my classified evidence. Mario could have discovered the classified evidence, or he just might have come in possession of it without knowing. The attempted assassination of Mario Zurvagon and his family should prove to the world how important the classified evidence is. It completely exposes the Katrina virus and the genocide that took place in New Orleans and the genocide that is taking place in the United States. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, as I fix a couple typos here. All right, here's what happened. I was friends with Mario, but I was very good friends with his father. And his father was one of the only people, if not the only person, that I trusted in New Orleans from the Hilton Health Club. In 2010, I gave Carlos several files for safekeeping. The files contained evidence, and many were classified. I must emphasize one very important point, that is, Carlos Zurvagon did not know what was in the files when I gave them to him. I asked him not to open them. I said, would you keep these safe? I don't have any way of knowing if he opened the files afterwards. He was the only person that I trusted. I read you that. Please read his obituary. He was a first-class guy. So when he died in December 2010, I don't know what happened with the files. I had no way of retrieving them. I just couldn't go to his wife or Mario and say, hey, there's these files. So I left it alone. I figured they were safe there, and one day they would discover them or go through it. I'm not sure, what would happen. So I left it alone. Carlos promised to make them public if I were to die. Mayor Ray Nagin had knowledge of the files and what was taking place. He didn't know exactly what was in them. He had a good idea because of our discussions at the Hilton Health Club. So I hope I'm setting this up right now, and I'm trying to slow down enough today. So both Carlos and Mario belong to the Hilton Health Club with me, as did Mayor Ray Nagin, Ambassador Donald Ensenad, other attorneys, etc. So Carlos and I spent a lot of time together there, and I asked him if he would take this stuff. And now, people, you want to know why? All right, there were three things, at least three major things that happened in 2010 that caused me, all right, to take these steps. All right, the U.S. Attorney in New Orleans was a guy named Jim Letton, a true criminal, a psychopath, whatever you want to call it. My new words, narcissist, he's it. He was also a naval intelligence officer with compartmental clearances. Jim Letton threatened me in person and via email, and I've listed the dates, and I have copies of it. And remember, everything I do goes to the Supreme Court and has been placed with the Library of Congress, and in other court records. Okay, so Letton had total and complete knowledge of the Katrina virus, its release, and the fact that the U.S. military murdered Americans during Hurricane Katrina. He directed the attempted assassination of me and the successful assassination of Coast Guard Commander William Goetze, and I've documented that. You can see the links in the videos. Goetze was a federal whistleblower, just like I was, but he was involved with the BP oil spill and corrects it. At the time, Coast Guard Commander Goetze was working with the EPA. All right, Letton was responsible, and anything you read in the newspaper about Goetze, go to my links and look at it. All right, and remember, when I was arrested on a Louisiana warrant, and the way they arrested Goetze, everything they said, because I was at the courthouse that day, is not true. I digress. Letton was responsible for the Danziger prosecution and investigation. That's the biggest civil rights case of the last 30 years. And that's what I'm fighting right now. That's what the appellate level is. There was a DVD of what happened that belonged to the military that I had in my possession. All right, the officers killed people on the bridge. There was a plea deal that was illegally entered into before the trial about not using the DVD because it would expose. That's why that case is all being sealed by both the defendants and the prosecution. No one wants the truth to come out. The defendants don't want it to come out because then it would be a death penalty case and would be retried as one, and those police officers could actually get the death penalty. All right. So he also had knowledge, and get this, of the fact that the U.S. Navy was responsible for the explosion that caused the BP oil spill. Ladies and gentlemen, every book you'll read, every document, court document, nobody knows what caused the explosion. The sensors on Horizon oil rig, what came up that riser traveled so fast that the sensors didn't pick up on it. Well, as you know, a tsunami underground travels at the speed of sound. An explosion of a U.S. Navy ship, and let me go back here. The U.S. Navy was conducting a salvage operation off the horizon from the deep water horizon. How prophetic, oil platform. There was a U.S. Navy sunken ship that was carrying chemical warfare weapons that contained the Katrina virus. The weapons started leaking the Katrina virus. The ship had left New Orleans sometime around when Hurricane Katrina hit. This is one of the connections to my cousin Admiral John Christenson. So you got this ship out in the Gulf that starts leaking. The Navy has to fix it. Well, there's an explosion, travels underground up the riser on the Deepwater Horizon platform, causing the explosion. All right. I don't know how to coherently tell you, what happened after that. So while BP made mistakes, the explosion was caused by the United States Navy. All right. Item 2. Louis Edgar Lee Madère entered the Federal Witness Protection Program in October. All right, now, publicly they said he died. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't die. I saw him the day that he entered the hospital. The guy was bouncing around like a spring chicken. And it was at the same time that this FBI Special Agent Stephen Reyes came into my life, 2 days before. And this is, again, all documented via emails, court records, the Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, ladies and gentlemen. What happened was Lee Madère was a Danziger grand jury foreman for the state, not federal. He gave secret information to Jim Letton so the case could go from the state level to the federal level. And if you look at how it happened, any reasonably competent criminal attorney said it can't happen that way. There's something wrong for it to be transferred to the federal level. So Madère is being protected by Letton and the federal government. Now here's how bizarre my life is, and I can't invent this. Truth is stranger than fiction. This is unbelievable. Lee Madère is such a criminal and such a pervert. The Catholic Church filed a class action video voyeur lawsuit against him in New Orleans Civil District Court. The suit's still there. It's just wide open. One day it just stopped. So I cooperate with the Catholic Church, say I'll help you prosecute him because he was a peeping Tom with us. So I find out and I go see federal judge Jay Zaney in New Orleans to give him information. I go to his office. I communicate with this guy. He handpicked 3 attorneys, DeLeo, Ignacio, and a third one, to sue Madère. I mean, this is the slam dunk. Think about this. On your side, you have a federal judge, you have 3 very powerful attorneys in New Orleans, and you got the Catholic Church suing Madère. But they had him cold because Madère put the incriminating evidence about himself online, about what he did. And all of a sudden one day, so the suit stops. Well, Letton goes to Jay Zaney, the federal judge, said, listen, you got to stop it. Madère is very important to us because the information he gave to us about Danziger that allows us to bring it into federal court. Now, Madère committed mortgage fraud against me. Unbelievable. The arrogance. He knew he was protected. He admits the mortgage fraud in court documents. And I take this to Letton and said, here, just give us our money back so we can leave. He had cross-collateralized the entire property basically with the mob at 25% interest, and the documents are recorded in Orleans Parish. So then they said to Madère, and I'd called 911 on Madère like 25 times. Unbelievable. He had me falsely arrested. You just can't believe how corrupt this whole thing was. Well, finally, Letton says to Madère, he says, I can't have you on the street anymore. You either enter the protection program or you go to jail. So Madère, they developed this elaborate scheme for Madère to die. They actually hold the funeral in a Catholic church, which the Catholic Church would never allow because of the relationship that it had with Madère. And I can go on about that. Again, I can't invent this. So then Stephen Ray's comes in on a Thursday. He and this Druzak guy, and this is where the real threats start coming toward me. At first, hey, we're here to help, and then I realized that's not why they're there. Well, that was the last time that I'd seen Lee Madère, was basically that same day. So Madère goes into the hospital. I have a friend that works in pharmaceuticals, is a pharmacist at the hospital. He said Madère never consumed any pharmaceutical products, none. He was there for 48 hours. The next thing is the head of human resources there is a CIA operative because of the connection with the CIA. His name's Bill Ramsey. He's a Marine major. Again, a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on with his story with dates and times and names. All right, it's all documented. It's all in the Library of Congress. So poor Mario comes in possession of this very important stuff, and either somewhere along the line, the FBI went back through my computer, went back through my files, did the research, and realized that I'd given this stuff to Carlos, and it was out there, and it existed, and they had to get it. And maybe Mario found it. Maybe his kids got sick. The health issue. Is he in protective custody? He won't respond to my calls or my emails. So you can look at it. Go back and look at my video 147. Here's a story how you're being assassinated, with how they arrested me, never charged me with the crime, put me in isolation for 11 days, medicated me against my will. Look at the bond and the non-domestic stay-away order. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. This is big business. If the FBI and the Department of Justice are now going after innocent people like Mario, his family, and think about this, his kids, all right, they're not going to stop at anything to get this evidence. Nothing, absolutely nothing. They're going to continue to kill people, to murder people, to protect this cover-up about what happened in New Orleans. The courts, they're not going to do anything. And I did a video today about YouTube and Google, helping us. Ask me. I'll put you. Look at www.persimmonpublishingus.com. Make sure you put US down there. Look at the documents that are there. I still am astounded that people aren't doing that they're not looking at it and saying, hey, wait a minute, look at this. And I'm going to punch it up right now to see. I got to go back and look at something. And it's up. It's working. I guess the Department of Justice is going to leave it alone. There's links about what the agent did. The bail there's there. I'm looking for the arrest warrant to see if I have it there. The docket master. Look at the docket master and the effort that I had to go. Oh yeah, the Louisiana arrest warrant there and a search warrant, ladies and gentlemen. Go look at them. They're under the documents tab. The site's very slow because of what the FBI and the DOJ do, but they're there. My 214's there. Read the article about the murder of Coast Guard Commander William Goatsey and look at all the links just from the papers. There's some really good stuff there. I'm David Andrew Christenson. I got to go. This is an important phone call. Godspeed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Andrew Christenson. It's November 14th, 2014. It's 5:37 p.m. here in Miramar Beach, Florida. This is video 752. Let me read the title, and I want to be very clear on it. Americans get fucked in the Danziger appeal, and their children will pay for it with their lives. I am so goddamn angry right now. It is unbelievable that Americans are they're getting fucked, and our kids are going to pay for it with their lives. Do not doubt me on this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you the truth. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has allowed both sides in the Danziger appeal to seal this case from the public. I've done everything in my power to make it public. Do you have any idea how many Americans will die? Ask yourself this. Why would both sides want the case sealed, both the defendants and the prosecution? It is because of the criminal conduct by the Department of Justice. Let me read these points. Ladies and gentlemen, the Katrina virus is real and was released during Hurricane Katrina from dilapidated classified CIA and DoD facilities where they did testing and research on chemical warfare contaminants. The U.S. military illegally murdered Americans during Hurricane Katrina, protecting those facilities and transporting the chemical warfare products, material, etc., out of New Orleans.
and they didn't provide those individuals with due process. The New Orleans police officers involved in this case murdered people on the Danziger Bridge. The U.S. military is responsible for what happened on the Danziger Bridge. There is a military video of what happened at the Danziger Bridge. I had it in my possession at one time. It was why I was arrested and why a Louisiana warrant was served on me to take all of my research, years of research about the Katrina virus and what happened during Hurricane Katrina at the Danziger Bridge. The Department of Justice and the defense attorneys entered into a plea deal illegally before trial. In exchange for not asking for the death penalty, both sides, the prosecution and defense, agreed not to present the military video of what happened at the Danziger Bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say it any clearer. You're getting fucked, and this is it. And the ramifications of this are unbelievable. So I put the case numbers down there, both Kaufman and the rest of these guys. They did it. They're in prison right now. But they know that if they go to trial, they're going to get the death penalty because they have a video. The Department of Justice, Obama, George W. Bush don't want the video played because it shows what the military was doing in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. I've gone a lot farther than I wanted to. Your kids are going to pay the price. Your grandkids, their kids, you're probably going to pay the price. When you start seeing your friends above the age of 50 dying of pneumonia at epidemic levels, remember, you stood by and did nothing. I'm absolutely livid about all this, and I'm livid that the Supreme Court is allowing this to take place, knowing the truth. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, the Appeals Court in the District of Columbia, every judge in the federal judiciary knows the truth. They all know about the plea deal that was illegally entered into. They knew that the military murdered, Navy SEALs murdered Americans on U.S. soil, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David Andrew Christenson. Godspeed.
In possession of my classified evidence. Mario could have discovered the classified evidence, or he just might have come in possession of it without knowing. The attempted assassination of Mario Zurvagon and his family should prove to the world how important the classified evidence is. It completely exposes the Katrina virus and the genocide that took place in New Orleans and the genocide that is taking place in the United States. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, as I fix a couple titles. The title has to do with what happened to Mario Zurvagon and his family. So, the DOJ firebombs, attempted assassination of Mario Zurvagon and family. FBI was destroying evidence. The video that I'm going to do right now is why the DOJ and FBI wanted Mario Zurvagon and his family dead with their home and possessions destroyed. The DOJ and FBI could not take a chance on Mario Zurvagon being typos here. All right, here's what happened. I was friends with Mario, but I was very good friends with his father. And his father was one of the only people, if not the only person, that I trusted in New Orleans from the Hilton Health Club. In 2010, I gave Carlos several files for safekeeping. The files contained evidence, and many were classified. I must emphasize one very important point, that is, Carlos Zurvagon did not know what was in the files when I gave them to him.
With some Indians we hide in the dunes by the seaside.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Andrew Christenson. It's the 17th of November 2014. It's 7:30 a.m. here in Miramar Beach, Florida. This is video 756. I asked him not to open them. I said, would you keep these safe? I don't have any way of knowing if he opened the files afterwards. He was the only person that I trusted. I read you that. Please read his obituary. He was a first-class guy. So when he died in December 2010, I don't know what happened with the files. I had no way of retrieving them. I just couldn't go to his wife or Mario and say, hey, there's these files. So I left it alone. I figured they were safe there, and one day they would discover them or